Chapter 10. Sue. That night, Andy and Ben sat in the back of a four-wheel drive on the way to pick up Dad's old school friend. Her name's Sue. You'll like her, Dad said as he pulled up in front of a small brick house with a neatly trimmed garden at the front. He got out and walked down the path and knocked on the door. Ben slunk down in his seat. I wish we could go our own way, he complained to Andy, but Andy wasn't listening. He was looking out the window with his mouth wide open in surprise. Look, he managed to say, pointing at the house, it's Miss Browning Lever. Ben peeked out wide-eyed. Miss Browning Lever was wearing jeans and a pale blue shirt. Her hair was fluffy and loose, not tied back in her normal style. She smiled at Dad and laughed at something he said. She did not look cranky like she did at school. She looked happy and pretty. What will she say when she sees us? Andy whispered. We've got to hide. The two boys crouched on the floor at the back of the car, hoping they could not be seen. Boys, get up, Dad called as soon as he got near the car. Ben knew he was annoyed, but didn't want to show it in front of Miss Browning Lever. Andy got up, and Miss Browning Lever looked at him in surprise, but Ben stayed crouched, low, fluttering his fingers. Ben, Dad called again, say hello to Sue. Sue, this is my son Ben. Andy kicked his friend to make him obey. Slowly, Ben raised his head, but looked at the floor. Hello, he said. Miss Browning Lever gasped out loud. Hello, Ben, she managed to say. I didn't know you were Jack's son. She smiled at him nervously. Dad looked at the two of them curiously. Do you know each other, he asked. Ben is in my class, Miss Browning Lever replied. Really, Dad said. I never put the two and two together. Come to think of it, Ben never says your name much. He just calls you the teacher. Well, my name is a bit of a mouthful, she said with a smile. It's four, Ben said. What? Dad looked at him confused. 2 and 2 is 4. Everybody knows that. Dad sighed. That's not what it means, son. It's... Dad paused, trying to think of an easy way to explain what he meant. Your dad just realized that I was your teacher. That's all, Miss Browning Lever said with a smile. Dad gave her a relieved look. We're getting a new computer, Ben said, flapping his fingers, trying to keep his hands still and out of sight. Not now, Ben, Dad said, smiling at Sue, trying not to show his embarrassment. Actually, Miss Browning Lever said, I'm interested in computers myself. I'm getting a new one, too. Dad opened the door for her, and she got in and turned around to the boys at the back. Which one do you think would be best for me? Dad and Andy sighed. They knew how much Ben could talk about computers, and the rest of the trip to Sizzlers was spent listening to him. I'll have fish and chips, Ben said when they finally got to the restaurant. That's a change, Dad said. No, it's not, Ben corrected him. I always have fish and chips. Dad shook his head. That's what I meant, Ben. I was joking. Oh, okay. Ben knew about jokes, but he didn't think that one was very funny. Can I have the seafood dinner? Andy asked. I love prawns and stuff. I'll have the salad bar, Miss Browning Lever said. And a good old steak for me, Dad told the man behind the counter. They found a seat near the window. The waiter brought out a plate of fried bread, and they all started eating hungrily. So, Dad said cheerily to the boys, is Sue a good teacher? Andy smiled and said, yes, Mr. Jones, she's great. Ben nodded and added, she's okay when she doesn't shout at me. Miss Browning Lever went bright red. I'm sure that doesn't happen too much, Dad joked, trying to stop Ben from talking by kicking him under the table. Why did you kick me, Dad? Ben asked. Dad started to get very embarrassed and angry when Miss Browning Lever put her hand gently on his arm. It's okay, Jack. Ben is right. I have been a very cranky teacher lately, but my mother was so sick, and all I could think about was her. She turned to the boys. Did you know that my mother died? Ben nodded. My mother's dead too, he said. I know, she smiled at Ben kindly. We're the same, he said. A bit the same, she agreed. And then the waiter brought out the food. The wisp of smoke swirled across the table, and Andy and Ben watched in amazement. It stopped in front of Andy, and he put his hand out to touch it, just as the waiter put the seafood dish in front of him. I hope you enjoyed mussels, sir, the waiter said. There's a special on today. The seafood platter comes with an extra dish of mussels. They're good large ones, too. Happy eating. Mussels! The two boys looked at each other in surprise. Andy had wished for big mussels, like mussels on his arms, not mussels in a seafood platter. The genie got it wrong. The puff of smoke floated up gently out of sight, and Andy and Ben craned their heads to watch it go. They were sure they heard a tinkling of laughter as it disappeared.